Hi guys, today I'm making a vegan gingerbread loaf cake. So as you probably can tell by the variety of ingredients, this is going to be a gingerbread cake that has a lot of complexity and a lot of spice and a lot of flavor. So I'm just going to go through the ingredients because as you can see, there's a variety of ingredients here, and I like to make sure whenever I'm making anything that's very festive and Christmassy, I want it to have lots of depth and complexity and spice. I want it to taste powerful and spicy. So since I'm making a gingerbread cake, I opted for real ginger this time. I grated the ginger. I have my grater here. Sorry if it looks dirty because I was using it, grating the ginger earlier before I started filming this video. So I decided to use real ginger because I like to use real ingredients when I'm cooking. Sometimes I like to use fresh ingredients, like not the dried stuff, just because, you know, dried is nice and all that, but sometimes it's nice when you add fresh. So I wanted to try fresh ginger. And last time I tried fresh ginger in my cookies and my gingerbread cake, it turned out really nice. In terms of the dried spices, I have cinnamon, I have pimento powder. This is what the pimento seeds look like. If you don't have the powder, you can chop up, finely cut up some pimento peppers. Then we have cloves. I'm gonna cut up the cloves because I don't have clove powder, but you could just squeeze it and the powder will come out like really fine, the bulb part of the clove, and then just cut up the rest of the clove. And then I have black pepper, salt, orange zest. Besides these spices, I also have vanilla, a little bit of caramel, and of course the molasses and apple cider vinegar. This is just some flax egg that I prepared earlier. I prepared the flax egg earlier, I did the orange zest. And yeah, as you can tell, there's a bunch of other ingredients, but I'm gonna go through it. Let me just explain the rest of the ingredients. Right, so we have our white flour, we have the brown sugar, we have the walnuts. This is optional. You don't have to add walnuts. So what else do I have? I have coconut oil. You can use whatever oil you want. Some people use canola, but I'm using coconut. You can use whatever vegetable oil. This is almond milk. I'll be adding this. Of course, the rum is optional. The rum is definitely optional. This is for flavoring, and in the Caribbean, during Christmas time, we like to use rum in our black Christmas cakes. So I will be using, I'll be putting around 3 tablespoons of rum, so not that much in my cake, but you can add as much as you want, or you can drizzle it over the top of your ginger cake. It's a nice addition and it complements the spices and everything. This is baking soda, and this one is the baking powder. This is some flax egg I have here. I already prepared it. The ginger, like I said before. Salt, black pepper. I'm gonna do, for the topping, a little drizzle, not anything crazy, just some vanilla, icing sugar. You can use lime or orange, so just use whatever citrus you have. But also for the topping, I have some candied pecans. And these candied pecans, I'm gonna crush it a little bit and sprinkle it on top. So that's basically it. Make sure you line your baking tin, grease it if you don't have any parchment paper, just to set it up and leave it to the side while we are mixing all the ingredients together. We're gonna add some almond milk to the flax egg and some apple cider vinegar. This is just to make some vegan buttermilk. Yes, vegan buttermilk. whatever plant-based milk you have. It doesn't have to be almond milk. It can be coconut milk. It can be hemp milk or soy milk. Whatever you prefer. I'm gonna add it to the flax egg. So 1 cup of almond milk. I've added it to the flax egg now. To make sure that this is kind of like a vegan buttermilk, we're going to add the apple cider vinegar. 1 tablespoon. Give it a good stir and let it sit while we are mixing our dry ingredients. It's gonna kind of turn into a buttermilk almost. Almost. It's gonna have a nice flavor in the cake. Now for the dry ingredients. Sift in 3 cups of flour, white flour. After sifting in your white flour, you are going to add 1½ teaspoons of baking soda and 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. After that, we are going to add 1 cup of brown sugar. Baking soda and baking powder, 1½ teaspoons. If you have clumps in your baking powder or anything, make sure you use a sift and use the back of your spoon, because sometimes I know that for baking powder in particular, baking soda is usually okay, but for baking powder sometimes it can clump, and that's why using a sift kind of helps break it up and make everything go in finely in case you have that problem. Give everything a nice mix. I'm gonna add the salt. You want to use ½ teaspoon of salt. Adding a pinch of black pepper. The black pepper is optional. You don't have to add any black pepper in. And then we're gonna add 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. Add ½ teaspoon of allspice powder. ½ teaspoon of clove and ¼ teaspoon of nutmeg. ¼ teaspoon of nutmeg. So allspice. Add 1 teaspoon of orange zest, orange peel, orange rind. Add in your cloves. I'm going to chop up the cloves and I'm going to chop up the walnuts. Just be careful if you're doing this with a knife. You can use a grinder just to be on the safer side. But as usual, I'm being a daredevil and using a knife. I mean, I could grind it up in my grinder, but less work for me to clean if I just use a knife. So, make sure it's a sharp one. And if you want to just squeeze the bulb, you can just do that and add that fine powder in with your thumb. But to get the stem, I'm gonna have to use a knife. Last, but certainly not least, the walnuts. What is the final dry ingredient? You add all your spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, allspice berries, whatever festive Christmassy spices. If you have pumpkin spice at home and nothing else, you can just add that. If you don't have any of the others, because this is like a wintertime kind of recipe, right? So I'm gonna cut up the walnuts into smaller pieces so that when I bite into my cake, I'm not left with a big chunk of nuts, a big chunk of walnut. I want it in little pieces throughout the entire cake. All right. Just go on and chop it up. All right, so you can see all the spices in here. I'm going to give everything a nice stir before I add my walnuts, all the dried spices and ingredients. Just give it all a nice stir. You can probably smell how strong the spices are if you added a lot of spice. I know some people don't like to add too much spice, but the Caribbean in me is like, you better spice and season this up or else it's gonna taste bland. And we don't like bland desserts down in Trinidad or Jamaica, right? When they make black cake, they like to add lots of spice. Anyway, so I had chopped up the walnuts finely, just into smaller pieces. Unless you already buy them chopped, then it's okay. I'm going to add it now to the flour mix. Give it a good stir. Nice. Let's move on to the rest of our wet ingredients. Time to add our vanilla extract to our buttermilk. The buttermilk has been sitting here patiently waiting, and it is time for us to add the vanilla and liquid ingredients, our rum, our molasses, the ginger. So I'm going to add our ginger in as well, fresh ginger. If you don't have fresh ginger, you can just add ginger powder to the rest of the spice mixture, your flour and spice mixture, okay? This recipe, I want to use fresh ginger because I want it to be strong. And I want the cake also to be a little bit dense as well. I don't like dry cakes. Even if I'm making sponge cake, it has to be slightly moist, slightly dense. Go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract to your buttermilk. If you have mixed essence, add mixed essence or whatever flavoring caramel extract. Caramel extract basically gives things more depth. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of caramel extract. Give everything a nice stir. Make a little well in the middle of your dried flour mixture that we had mixed earlier. And pour your flax egg mixture into the bowl. So our flax egg and ginger is in. Now I'm going to add half a cup of oil. I'm going to also add a squeeze of orange juice for flavoring. So now we are going to add in a 1/3 cup of molasses. You can add in half a cup of molasses if you want. You know, it really depends on you. Last, but certainly not least, we are going to add some rum. It'd be better if you have spiced rum because this is a spicy cake, right? So use spiced rum. Now, not every family in the Caribbean, I'm adding 3 tablespoons by the way, not every family in the Caribbean is into adding rum to their cake, okay? Just letting you know, let's not get stereotypical here, right? So some people, you know, they're into the alcohol thing, some aren't. I'm just adding this mostly for flavor. There's some very religious people in the Caribbean that try to stay away from alcohol, or just people that abstain from alcohol, and which is good for them, I guess, because, I mean, in large quantities and doses, alcohol isn't that good for your body, right? But yeah, I think with spiced rum, you know, if you can get a nice brand, add it to your cake. I'm just using the generic Captain Morgan brand. And now I'm gonna give everything a good mix. Mix everything up, make sure everything gets mixed in thoroughly. Mix everything together thoroughly. Okay, make sure you line your baking tin with parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, just grease it and sift a little flour over the top of that grease to prevent your cake from sticking to the pan. I have mixed this enough now. It's time to pour it in. Okay, so it's done. So we're gonna put this in for 30 to 40 minutes, approximately 30 to 40 minutes. Heat up your oven at 350 degrees and put this bad boy in. Time for the icing on top. Oh, you thought we were done. You thought we were finished. Oh no, honey, it ain't over till I say it's over. So, just to make everything a little extra as usual, we will be adding icing to the cake, right? Icing on top. Now get 2 cups of icing sugar. Give a little squeeze of citrus, whether it's lime, lemon, or orange juice. It doesn't matter, just a little squeeze. Go ahead and put in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Mix everything together. If the icing is too dry, you can add some almond milk. But I will just use my citrus for now. And if I find it's too dry, I might use some almond milk. Just in case, right? Yep, it's too dry. Time to put some almond milk in. See, sometimes when you're watching cooking videos, it's very like cut and paste, copy and dry. And I have done videos like that where I just show what I'm doing without too much explanation, because I just want it to be straightforward. But when you kind of do the behind the scenes stuff, which is the video that I'm kind of doing right now, things don't always go according to plan, and people don't really include that in their footage. So sometimes when you're cooking, you have to improvise based off of what you already know. Ah, there we go. Now it is coming together. Just with a little bit of almond milk. It's not quite a drizzle yet. I might have to add a little bit more. If you're using water, be even more gentle with your water splash, because water is thinner than almond milk. Right, now this is definitely getting to drizzle consistency in my opinion. I'm gonna put it in the fridge because I don't want the heat of the cake to affect it that much, and I want the cake to cool down before I add the icing on top. Yeah, it's good consistency. You can make it a little bit more runnier than this if you want. And if you want to make it a frosting, do not add that much almond milk. Maybe add a little bit of vegan butter, tiny bit of water or almond milk, but if you want to make it a thick frosting, if you want to make it thick, The less liquid you add, the better. And the less grease as well, or oil, or vegan butter. There we go. Nice, I'm gonna put it in the fridge. And you take it out. It's gonna smell nice and fragrant. It's gonna smell very strong because of the spices when you take it out. Peel off parchment. After your cake has cooled down, I'm gonna ice it. So I have taken my icing out of the fridge. I let it defrost a bit because it was a bit stiff. You'll notice it becomes a bit harder and stiff in the fridge. So now that it's thawed out a bit, I'm gonna drizzle it over the cake. Now, instead of icing, you can use plain old icing sugar and a sift and leave it at that. I'm gonna pour it on and let it go off on the sides. Let it drip on the sides. Make sure your plate goes around the edges so that when the icing drips, it doesn't get on your countertop. Let it run down on the sides, and then I'm gonna add my pecans. I'm going to add my candied pecans on top. Just decorate. It's done. I'm going to have it with fresh mint tea now. Fresh mint. Cut it. Take a bite of it. Really good. I tasted some of the rum. Even though it wasn't a lot, in my opinion, that I put in, it tastes really nice. And I can actually taste it. That fresh ginger though, oh my goodness. It's lovely. Definitely very strong. In terms of texture and taste, obviously with all the spices I added, it's a bit spicy, but I like how it's dense. As you can probably see, the cake itself is a bit dense, which is what I like. The fresh ginger is powerful, it's lovely. It tastes like those ginger candies. Today I am making a simple candied pecans, sticky candied pecans, and we have the pecans here today. I'm going to be adding some spices to it, cinnamon, some clove, as well as some rum for flavoring. First step is to add some oil to a frying pan. Add some white sugar, a 1/4 cup of white sugar, and a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Make sure that your oven is set to a medium heat. And let the oil and sugar bubble up, kind of like a caramel, in the frying pan. You'll see it's bubbling up. Add a pinch of salt. Add in your pecans. Then we're gonna add the spices next. Cinnamon, clove, some vanilla extract, the rum, Add in your vanilla extract. Stir in your rum. The rum's gonna sizzle like this. Just keep stirring everything. The next step is to add some cinnamon. Cinnamon. Stir everything together. Let your candied pecans cool down. You can see it's nice and golden brown or a deep reddish brown color. It should be around a deep reddish brown, especially if you add cinnamon and rum and vanilla, or a golden brown if you don't add as many spices. And also when you're, or before you're frying, before you're caramelizing the sugar, make sure you add enough oil or butter to your frying pan, just so it makes the cleanup easier when you have to wash your frying pan at the end. You won't have as much of the sticky sugar residue if you grease everything in advance beforehand. And that is it. It's nice and sticky, which is what I wanted. Let's try this. Tastes amazing with the vanilla. I'm just gonna add a sprinkle of salt to balance out the sugar. But other than that, it tastes really, really nice. See, it's a bit sticky like that. I like when it's sticky instead of just sugary. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and feel free to check out more of my other recipe videos on my channel. Let me know if you decided to try out this recipe yourself. I'm gonna finish eating my cake now. Take care.